Welcome. So glad that you're here with us today. I'm Loren Fogelman with Business Success Solution. I show accounting professionals how to double their income working half the time. And today I have with me someone very special, Daliah Fritz. And Daliah, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Loren. Thanks. My name is Daliah Fritz. I am the owner of My Small Business Pro. We provide bookkeeping, accounting, and consulting services to small business owners and entrepreneurs so that they can make reality-based decisions about their business.
Excellent. And wanted to just give a little bit of backstory. Can you just share what things were like in your practice before we started working together?
Sorry, say the question again.
Yeah. Can you share what things were like in your practice before we started working together?
Suffice to say, I was totally overwhelmed. I was probably working with about 35 clients. Several of them were not profitable. I was working 10, 11-hour days, doing every single thing that I could just to meet all of my client responsibilities. It was very hectic and it wasn't very pleasant.
It sounds exhausting.
It was.
And were you looking for a certain type of help, or why did you decide that we ought to be working together?
I attended one of your courses on letting go of legacy clients and identifying ideal clients. And I had several clients who I felt were not priced correctly, clients who treated me like an employee instead of a consultant, clients who kind of ruined my day when they were talking to me. So I wanted a strategy to either increase these clients' pricing or kind of let them go gracefully.
Part of what it sounds like is that there were things you were tolerating and you just weren't willing to tolerate them any longer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you feel that there were any obstacles that were maybe interfering or coming up with your decision about us working together?
Actually not that much. I was, kind of initially, I hadn't thought about spending quite so much money. And then I think I recall asking you, could I have until the end of the week? And of course you said fine. And the next day I said to myself, you're going to hire this woman. What are you waiting for? Were you waiting to talk yourself out of it or something? Like, you have the money, just do it. So there wasn't, I think I was a little nervous to pull the trigger, but it didn't really hold me back for very long.
Mm-hmm. I think the nerves are common, and I appreciated the fact that you're just sharing some of the things that went on in your head, where sometimes we postpone decisions, and when we do, we actually will talk ourselves out of it instead of just going forward, because it feels risky. There's some unknowns, but what then maybe triggered you to go ahead and take the leap? Did something particular shift for you or allow you to just say, I'm moving forward anyway, just go do it?
I think it was, I don't think it was anything specific beyond, that conversation with myself. I had seen you in a panel discussion. We had had our initial complimentary strategy session. I had seen a course of yours. I knew it was something that I wanted. So as far as I was concerned, there wasn't any real reason to delay. It was like, okay, you need this person's help. So what are you waiting for?
Got it. And I'd love to hear, what are some specific strategies that you found help to grow your bank account and free up your time?
So there are a couple of things I had. I think, understanding how clients who are not profitable and who are not the ideal client, how they take your time and emotional energy away from the rest of your clients and from the rest of the practice, realizing how costly that was really helpful for me. And also eliminating just about all of my hourly billing and moving every client to a value pricing model. So working on packages, moving clients who were at old rates into new package rates. Those were the things that really helped grow the bank account.
Part of, I'd like to dig into this a little bit more. Part of what I found that you did in the beginning of our work together is there was some things you had to unpack. We talked about lowering your tolerance level because there were things you were tolerating, and you mentioned clients. Can you talk about what it was like to actually make the decision to fire some of your clients, including some major clients? Because that's a scary thing for almost everybody.
It was scary. Yeah, it was really scary. The things that held me back from doing that previously was the mindset when I started my business that I needed every bit of business that I could get, because when you're just starting, it's really lean. So, I had built up this, bigger business, but some of that business was really no longer serving me, but it was really scary to let that go when you're thinking about increasing revenue. And I don't think that I had the mindset that I could, raise prices, talk to my clients about value pricing, moving them from a lower level of service to a higher level of service with the clients who were, who I was working really well with, and really focusing on clients who valued the services and who weren't gonna sort of nickel and dime me as they had.
And sometimes I think, as you're referring to, your biggest clients also have the biggest headaches, or they might not be as high value as you realize, even though they might be paying a significant amount for your services every month. So what did you notice once you were able to shed or fire some of these non-ideal clients? What changed for you?
Well, the hours are significantly less on client work. And also, I think, I have a lot less anxiety throughout my day, right? There are no clients who, when I receive an email from them, my heart rate goes up. Right. So all of the clients who I'm working with now are clients who would say, give me a testimonial, who would give me a referral, who refer to me as a partner in their business. Even just today, one of my ideal clients, we have had a technology issue with their point of sale system. It's been a real challenge, and it's taken up a lot of extra time. And I was able to contact this customer and say, and as much as, she's on a value pricing model, but this kind of fell outside of the statement of work. How do you handle that when that happens? Well, we have such a great relationship. I've said, listen, I'm, willing to give this much, but the rest, this much I've got to charge you. I figured I'd just invoice you once we've, solved the problem. And her response was, sounds great all around, Daliah. So, that was, that's an example of, how my day has changed, that I send that email instead of, kind of being in a panic when something's not working out. How am I going to handle this with this client? They're not going to want to pay. They argue about the bill all the time, et cetera, et cetera.
And I know that right before we started this conversation, you were talking about how things have really evened out for you, that you have a lot more time to really work at a higher quality. You're working on your business. Compared to when you first started. I think you said you were working like 10 to 12 hours a day in the beginning.
Yeah, sometimes more. Like sometimes it was, 8 to 10, and I was answering emails from the minute I woke up until the minute I went to bed.
And about how many hours do you find yourself working now?
I would say more like 7 to 9 on a busy day. Like it might be 9 hours, but on a different day, it's only 7. And I think today it will probably be 6.
Sweet. So that's something that really sets you up as you have somebody's dream practice, Daliah. And I just want to point that out. And you've mentioned value pricing a couple of times, and this project. So is there a way that you approach analyzing and maybe quoting a project for value instead of time?
So something that I've learned in our months working together is one of the things that I started doing was charging to evaluate somebody's QuickBooks file. So something that you say, okay, invite me to your QuickBooks and I'll go and I'll have a look and then I'll do a proposal. I no longer do that. I've been doing this a long time. I've looked at over 100 QuickBooks files of different types of businesses. And I know now that there's no reason that I need to look at anybody's QuickBooks for free. So that's something that I've started doing. That's been a big cash flow help over the last couple of months. And then when I'm evaluating the file, I take a look at, how far back do I have to go? What does the balance sheet look like? And then I think about, okay, how much would I have charged this client to work for them on a monthly basis over all that time, right? And I base my pricing more on how if I had been doing the work versus giving them a discount to do it all at once, or saying, I would never do somebody's books for $100 a month. So why would I charge $3,000 to clean up a whole year? So I've started approaching it from a different perspective as far as if I had been doing it for them for the duration and the results that it could provide for them once I'm finished. So I'm focusing more on those things, and that's how I send my proposals. I sell that value to my clients and the intelligence that they're going to be able to take away, and the ways that when I'm done with my evaluation and then done with the cleanup, how that's going to be able to help them with their business moving forward.
Then part of what I hear, just to recap, is that there's things you were doing for free, looking at people's books that you're now getting paid for. Therefore, you created a new stream of revenue on something you didn't know how to charge for it, or even think that you could.
100%.
The other thing is you don't give discounts on cleanups because you see that as rewarding someone for actually not taking care of their books. So you're not giving any breaks or discounts, and people are actually going ahead and investing in you doing the cleanup at your full rate. And then the other thing that I'm really hearing is that when you're talking with someone about working with you, you're really focusing on how this will benefit them and the outcomes, as opposed to the technical task or skills required to do the work.
Correct.
And moving forward with that, because we're now talking a little bit about the pricing, the value pricing part of it, raising rates is one of the most difficult things that most of us face. No matter what size firm you are, whether you're one of the big four or whether you might be solo, how long did you actually think about raising rates before you started doing that?
Every year I would think about raising rates, every single year. And I would kind of talk myself out of it. I was too busy. They're not going to pay more. Well, it's easier for me now and it's not taking me as much time. So there's a reason to raise their price, and a myriad of excuses.
Okay, so we talking about, you've been thinking about this for years, or you'd be thinking about it, but you do it every year anyway? I just wanted to clarify.
Never did it.
Never did. Okay,
never
how
did
many
it.
years, Daliah, have you never done it, the raise your rates thing for?
I mean, without a significant change in the statement of work, I've been in business for 5 years. I would say the bulk of the clients that I've been working with have been for about 3 years. And so this year I raised prices for the first time in 3 years for many of my clients.
Okay, so congratulations on that. And what I also have seen is people make that decision to raise their rates, but actually going ahead and doing it brings up new fears, because you might not want to have confrontation. You get afraid that people will go ahead and leave you. They're going to challenge you on that. So are there any tips on how you did actually increase your client rates without getting that pushback?
I would say, I think the thing that works for me in my business is, and something I talk about a lot with my clients, is transparency. And I focus a lot on the relationship. with my clients. So I leveraged that relationship that I had forged with them over the years and talked to them just openly about, needing to, change the structure of the business in order to sustain, create a sustainable business model. Talking to them about the value of having the same person in the seat year after year, and talking to them about how their businesses have grown and how I want to be able to grow with them, and just being really transparent about the need to raise prices. And I would say the majority of clients were receptive and there was very little pushback. I think for the non-ideal clients, it was a really great opportunity to flush those clients out. The ones who I knew were price sensitive, again, the ones who kind of nickel and dimed me. So by saying, okay, this is where, where the new pricing level is going to have to be. And then they had the choice to stay or to go.
Nice. And are there any things that you've done along the way to fine tune your system and continue to grow your income, Daliah?
So one of the things that I've done is so I work with a lot of realtors, and I am a former realtor. So it's a lot of fun to be able to work with people in the real estate industry. And that was the first, I think, real step in our work together, was creating a set of packages for the realtors. So for the majority of the realtors, I have them all into a package. And I have different names for the different packages. And that's now a system. Instead of having to, I can do the diagnostic for a new realtor or do a QuickBooks, setup, and then they go right into one of the packages instead of having to reevaluate every single time. You either fit into the agent package, the Rising Star package, or the Rainmaker package. And those are the three packages. So that's a way that I've been able to systematize one aspect of my client base.
Now, going from having a laundry list of different services you offer versus offering packages is a little bit of a transition. What has been the response to clients when you offer packages instead of just saying, I'll just send you an invoice at the end of the month?
I think it makes it a lot easier for clients to see where they fit. Right. And for some of the legacy clients, getting them into a package it made it possible to negotiate with them a little bit, just to get them up to the right level. And realtors love to negotiate. So if you're prepared to go in and, I'll include your payroll for, I won't upcharge you for the payroll. Then they feel like they're getting a deal. So that works out really. So it's a way to sort of negotiate without really negotiating, because you're still going to be in one of the packages. And I think it speaks to also where the client sees themselves. Are they a rainmaker? Do they have a team with lots of deals versus, they're kind of in the middle and they haven't decided yet to expand their team. So I think it also speaks to their persona.
Well, one of the things I think with how you named it is that they might start out with a lower package, but maybe they want to aspire to being your rainmaker package. And this way they really know what they can move into eventually. And that could become another business goal for them. And any hurdles or challenges that you had to just deal with? You've mentioned mindset a couple of times, but any other personal challenges maybe that you faced or overcome? Because part of what I've seen from myself is that I grow along with my business, and I have to so often get out of my own way. Or there's things where I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it, so I postpone. So any hurdles that you found that you had to kind of work through also along the time that we've been working together?
So I think I've had to get comfortable throwing out bigger numbers, not worry. And really thinking about, what's it going to be worth it, for me to actually do this? And that is much higher, and being comfortable with the no's, because I got so good at quoting prices where people would always say yes. So now I've priced high enough where I've gotten a couple of no's, and being comfortable with that and being okay that, well, if I was going to do this project, this is how much money I would want for it. So, and if I'm not going to get what I want or what I think I should be paid for it, then it's okay for that project to go by. And something that has been mentioned before, but I don't think that we've talked about it, is imposter syndrome. And I don't know that I ever thought that I had that. And as I've developed a new line of business, and that's doing consulting only and working with people without necessarily working on their QuickBooks, I have felt some fear coming up, even though I know that that is the highest value that I provide to my clients, is in those consulting sessions, when we're really digging into their financials and talking about their goals, their revenue, their expenses, how to create change. I know that's where my highest value is, but I still feel some anxiety about selling just that without selling the technical side.
I know that that's something that we've been talking about a lot. And Daliah, from our conversations, what I know about the work that you do, your clients benefit from working with you.
For sure.
You bring a lot to the table. So you have my vote of confidence on that one. And I appreciate you bringing up the imposter syndrome, because about 75% of professionals struggle with it at any time in their profession, whether they are in the C-suite or they are a home-based business. And it's especially a mark of people that tend to be overachievers. They want to deliver a lot, they want to over-deliver, they care about their clients. And so I see that as a good thing, actually.
And it's interesting to even be aware of that. When I was fortunate enough to go to a client, an in-person client event last week, and I was introduced by my client. I sponsored I did a small sponsorship of their event, and we have monthly meetings. They're a group of real estate agents, so they're in the Rainmaker package. We meet every month, and my client stood up in front of a whole room of people and told them that I was brilliant. And I was like, oh, wow. She just told everyone I'm brilliant. That was amazing. It was amazing to hear.
Excellent. You ought to capture that at some point. And
I think there's a Facebook Live video of that.
Nice. Excellent. And I bet that there's a lot of other clients you have that think about that. They just haven't expressed it to you. And just moving forward, now that you know how to value price your work, what do you see as different in your business as well as your personal life?
Well, I don't see myself taking on those non-ideal clients, right? Because if they don't, it's much easier, I think, for people to be like, well, what's your hourly rate, right? They want to know the hourly rate so that they can gauge how much they want to pay you. And now I just say I don't really work hourly. I don't really do that. I only work on a project basis. And so I think it has helped on the front end eliminate the non-ideal client. So I'm not stuck working with someone who I don't really want to be working with and who doesn't value the actual services. They're going to attach my time to the money, something that I don't want to do. And after finishing the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program, which had made me very, very busy, it takes approximately a day and a half to 2 business days worth of time out of every week. So I felt like a sardine. And now I feel like a person who has like a normal work day that I could stop. Now that that's over, now that I'm not dealing with non-ideal clients, I've raised some prices. So now I'm like, oh, I can just turn off at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock. And that really has started to make a difference in how I feel outside of work.
Okay, I'm going to also add, I remember you taking, I believe, a week or so getaway, just downtime, and you stepped away from your business. And it was okay with, it didn't freak you out.
I did. I took my first vacation in 3 years back in March. I'm already ready for my next vacation. I'm like, when can I go? Where can I go?
Excellent. Well, we'll talk about that next time we meet.
Okay, good.
Get it on the calendar.
Great.
So anything else that you feel is important that you would like to mention?
I want to cite an example of a time where of how I would have handled something previously and how that equated for the money, because I think that this is really important because it's just one example. So it was a moving company that called me 2 years ago, and they kind of wanted some help, and we talked about it, and I was billing hourly, much less than I bill now, and they didn't hire me for whatever reason. I was busy, didn't matter, so whatever. They called me back, they said their CPA couldn't do the tax return. Can you help us? We really need help. So I did the diagnostic, something I would have done for free. And I did the project, or I did the cleanup project for them. It was about 3 years of cleanup. Not completely, but that's how far I had to go back. I quoted them $4,000. When I divvied up my time, and it was a fun project for me. It took about 10 hours. I was able to provide a perfect balance sheet and P&L for them for 3 years. And so I brought in $4,500. I would have brought in about $1,400 the way I was previously pricing my work.
So you more than tripled it, actually. Instead of $1,500 or $1,400, you got $4,500. And then you said it was maybe about 10 hours worth of work, and they paid, you said $3,500 for the cleanup?
It was $4,000 for the cleanup and $500 for the diagnostic.
Okay,
So
then
$4,500.
Yeah, so basically you increase your hourly rate from whatever it was to, on this one, if you want to just look at a time perspective, came to $400 an hour. Now, there are attorneys and physicians that would be happy with $400 an hour. Most accounting professionals, whether they're bookkeepers, enrolled agents, or CPAs, could never dream of charging those rates. And because you were able to make these transitions and put these different processes in place and understand your value and how to communicate it, this person that you knew a couple of years ago was price sensitive, went ahead and said, okay.
Well, this time they said they were not even price sensitive this time. They just absolutely, I was like, oh, I should have charged more. So it worked out great. And they came back to me afterwards. They weren't interested in ongoing services. They wanted to manage it internally, but they came back with questions and they said, can you help? Can you train us? And I said, well, I don't really work hourly. So I quoted a new mini project, $500 for 90 minutes.
Sweet.
And so I have learned a little bit more how to sell that, like, okay, training, providing information, giving you the tool, that it's not based on time.
Not at all. And once again, the training and then coming back puts you in that consultative advisory role as opposed to technician.
Correct.
So, Daliah, how can people get in touch with you?
So I have a website. It's www.mysmallbusinesspro.com. I can be reached at Daliah at mysmallbusinesspro.com, and the phone number is on the website.
Excellent. Daliah, thank you so much for just sharing some behind the scenes with your practice. This is Loren Fogelman with Business Success Solutions, showing accounting professionals how to double their income, working half the time.